June, USA. The town of North Attleborough, Massachusetts. Through the victim's eyes. Odin, my phone vibrates on the nightstand around 2:30 a.m. and barely awake, I reach for it, squinting against the bright screen. A text from Aaron. Come out, let's go for a ride. I am lying in bed at my apartment in Dorchester, my body feeling pleasantly heavy after training. I play for the Boston Bandits, a semi-pro football team, and every single day I give everything I've got on the field. My name is Odin Lloyd. I'm 27 years old, and I'm just a regular Boston guy who loves football, his family, and his girlfriend, Shania Jenkins. Shania is the older sister of Cheyenne, who is Aaron Hernandez's fiancé. And that's how Aaron and I met, through our girlfriends. Aaron Hernandez is an NFL superstar, a tight end for the New England Patriots, a 23-year-old guy with a $40 million contract and a fortress-like home in an upscale suburb. Next to him, I feel like a small fish swimming in the shadow of a giant shark. But he's always friendly, buys drinks, invites me over, and I figure he's a decent guy, just extremely wealthy. I pull on jeans and a t-shirt, head downstairs, and parked right outside my building is a silver SUV with Aaron and two other guys I vaguely recognize, Ernest Wallace and Carlos Ortiz. I hop into the back seat, and the car glides smoothly into the night, while Aaron whispers something quietly to one of the guys up front without turning to look at me. Music plays over the speakers, but the atmosphere inside is strangely tense, heavy, and I suddenly realize nobody is laughing or cracking jokes like we usually do when we ride around. I ask where we're headed, and Aaron murmurs something unintelligible without turning his head, sending a cold pang of discomfort through my chest. The car turns onto a dark back road. Trees on both sides close in over us like a pitch-black tunnel, and streetlights fade far behind. We pull onto an empty gravel lot next to an industrial park, and Aaron kills the engine and shuts off the headlights. My heart starts pounding violently because I finally realize something is terrifyingly wrong here. This isn't a joyride. This isn't a party. And those two silent guys in the front seat aren't just casual passengers. I try to open the door, but Aaron is already standing outside, a revolver glinting dull in his hand. His face in the moonlight isn't the face of the guy I laughed with and watched games with just days ago. It's a completely cold, ruthless mask. I try to speak, to explain that whatever he thinks, I didn't do anything wrong. But my words hang hollow in the heavy, humid night air. The first shot hits me in the back, and my body jolts from the deafening impact that knocks the air straight out of my lungs. I drop to my knees, the ground beneath my hands cold and damp with night dew. A second shot, a third, and the world begins to smear around the edges like watercolor hit by rain. The very last thing I think about is my mom, who goes to church every single Sunday and prays for me every night, and Shania, who is waiting for my call in the morning. They will never know why I was killed, because I don't even know myself. Through the perpetrator's eyes, Aaron, I am 23 years old. I have a $40 million contract with the Patriots, a massive mansion in the suburbs, a fiancé, a baby daughter, and the whole world at my feet. But under this shiny veneer hides another Aaron, the one nobody is ever supposed to see. I grew up in Bristol, Connecticut, and my father beat me so severely that to this day I flinch whenever someone raises a hand too fast. When I was 16, he died on the operating table, and something inside me broke forever. I started drinking, smoking weed, running with street gangs, and getting used to solving every problem with fists, and later with a gun. But on the field, I was a god. My hands caught balls like they were an extension of my fingers, and my body moved faster than my brain could process commands. University of Florida, then the NFL draft, then the New England Patriots, and suddenly I'm standing right next to Tom Brady himself, with 70,000 fans screaming my name. But here's the problem. The higher I climb, the more terrified I get that someone will find out the truth about me, the truth about who I really am, my secrets, my past, and the people I've already hurt and paid off. And Odin Lloyd knows too much. He saw things he shouldn't have seen, heard things he shouldn't have heard, and now he is a threat to everything I've built. Maybe he'll talk, maybe he won't, but I can't take that risk because paranoia has long poisoned every single thought in my head. I pick him up in the middle of the night, and he gets into my car without suspecting a thing because he trusts me. That trust is the most chilling part of it all. I drive to an empty industrial lot less than a mile from my own mansion and turn around holding a gun. His eyes widen in pure terror, and in that moment I feel absolutely nothing. No pity, no hesitation, no fear, only a cold, surgical necessity to eliminate a problem. I pull the trigger multiple times, and each gunshot echoes not in my heart, but in my hands. A familiar dull recoil, as if hitting a heavy bag in training. Odin falls to the ground, and I stand over him, not even shaking. I calmly get back into the car, and we drive away, leaving his body on the damp grass of the industrial park. Back home, I walk upstairs, kiss my sleeping daughter on the forehead, and lie down in bed next to Shayana, as if nothing happened. Through the worker's eyes who found the body, I pull up to work at the industrial park in North Attleborough early in the morning on June 17th. And as I park my car, I notice something lying in the grass at the edge of the field. I walk closer, and my breath catches instantly, Lying face down on the ground is a young man, his clothes soaked in blood, surrounded by shell casings. I jump back, pull out my phone with trembling hands, and dial 911, my voice cracking in horror. Through the investigator's eyes, we get a dispatch from an industrial park in North Attleborough. A body of a young male found with multiple gunshot wounds. We arrive at the scene and identify the victim. Odin Lloyd, 27 years old, a semi-pro football player from Dorchester. The body was found less than a mile from the mansion of Aaron Hernandez, star tight end for the New England Patriots. And that is the very first red flag that catches our attention. We pull surveillance footage from the area and find footage of a silver SUV registered to Hernandez driving past the industrial park around the time of the murder. But the most overwhelming evidence awaits us right inside the suspect's own home. His personal security camera system recorded Hernandez walking into his house through the back door, holding a gun just minutes after the murder occurred. He didn't even bother to erase the footage. That stuns us more than anything. It's as if he believed his multi-million-dollar contract and celebrity status placed him completely above the law. Inside his house, we find fragments of a smashed cell phone and a torn case. He tried to destroy evidence, but did it so sloppily that any rookie technician could reconstruct the data. We arrest Aaron Hernandez on June 26, 2013, just 9 days after the murder. That very same day, the New England Patriots officially terminate his contract, erasing his name from their roster as if he never existed. Through the perpetrator's eyes at trial in prison. Aaron, January 2015, a courtroom in Fall River, Massachusetts, and my face is broadcast on every news channel in the country. Just 2 years ago, I was catching touchdown passes from Tom Brady in front of 70,000 cheering fans. Now I sit in an orange prison jumpsuit while the judge reads an indictment for first-degree murder. The prosecutor lays out an ironclad chain of evidence for the jury. Surveillance footage, cell phone tower data, and testimony from my own accomplices who turned on me to get lighter sentences. Ernest Wallace and Carlos Ortiz, guys I thought were loyal, sit on the witness stand and describe in detail how I executed Odin Lloyd in that empty field. My defense lawyer tries to raise reasonable doubt, but against video evidence and 3 eyewitness accounts, he stands no chance. On April 15, 2015, the jury delivers the verdict. Guilty of first-degree murder. Sentence: life in prison without the possibility of parole. As the judge reads the sentence, I clench my teeth and stare straight ahead, refusing to show a single emotion. But inside, something tears apart, like an old football finally losing all its air. Sousa Barnowski Correctional Center, Massachusetts. Concrete walls, dim lights, steel doors, and endless, monotonous days. days that stretch into eternity. I'm 27 years old, and I realize I will spend the rest of my life behind these walls. I will never step onto a field again, never hear a stadium roar, never hold my daughter as a free man. On April 19th, 2017, 5 days after being acquitted in a separate trial for a 2012 double homicide, I find the only way out my broken mind deems possible. It is quiet in my cell, and my final choice is just as impulsive and irreversible as all the ones before it. I am 27 years old, and for me, it is over.
Factual case summary. Let us set aside emotion and examine the established facts and legal records of this high-profile case. Victim: Odin Lloyd, 27 years old, semi-pro football player for the Boston Bandits, resident of Dorchester, Massachusetts. Perpetrator: Aaron Jose Hernandez, 23 years old at the time of the crime, tight end for the NFL's New England Patriots, holder of a $40 million contract extension. Date: June 17, 2013, North Attleborough, Massachusetts. Lloyd's body was discovered in an industrial park less than a mile from Hernandez's home, bearing multiple gunshot wounds. Lloyd and Hernandez knew each other through their girlfriends. Shania Jenkins, Lloyd's girlfriend, was the sister of Cheyenne Jenkins, Hernandez's fiancé. The prosecution established that the motive stemmed from Hernandez's intense paranoia and fear that Lloyd might reveal incriminating information about Hernandez's involvement in prior violent incidents. Key evidence included surveillance video from Hernandez's own home security system showing him entering his residence holding a handgun shortly after the homicide. Co-defendants Ernest Wallace and Carlos Ortiz provided testimony detailing Hernandez's actions on the night of the murder. Hernandez was arrested on June 26, 2013. The New England Patriots cut him from the team less than 2 hours after his arrest. In April 2015, Hernandez was convicted of first-degree murder and sentenced to life imprisonment without parole. Hernandez was also tried for the 2012 Boston double homicide of Daniel D'Abreu and Safiro Furtado, but was acquitted of those charges in April 2017. On April 19, 2017, 5 days after his acquittal in the double murder trial, Aaron Hernandez was found dead in his cell at Sousa Baranowski Correctional Center. The cause of death was ruled a suicide by hanging. He was 27 years old. Post-mortem brain examination at Boston University revealed that Hernandez suffered from severe chronic traumatic encephalopathy, CTE, stage 3, associated with impulse control issues, aggression, and severe cognitive impairment. Psychological analysis. Take a deep breath and let your body release the heaviness gathered during this journey. What you have experienced is a reconstruction grounded in verified court records and forensic findings. Let us examine the psychological convergence that drove a man who had everything to destroy his own life and the lives of others. The case of Aaron Hernandez presents a complex interplay of severe psychological risk factors. First, early childhood trauma. A violent father who subjected him to severe physical abuse instilled a primitive pattern of resolving conflict through immediate aggression. Second, environmental influences. Despite his world-class athletic talent, Hernandez remained deeply entangled in gang culture, where status is enforced through fear and violence. Third, and perhaps most critical, post-mortem neuropathology revealed an extraordinarily severe case of CTE for someone his age. CTE damages the frontal lobe, the brain region responsible for impulse control, risk assessment, and emotional regulation. Hernandez's paranoia was not merely the arrogance of a wealthy athlete, but a symptom of profound neurological and psychological degradation. However, these factors do not absolve moral or legal responsibility. He made a deliberate choice when he drew a firearm against someone who called him a friend. The tragic reality of this case remains that Odin Lloyd trusted him, stepped into his car without fear, and paid for that trust with his life. Author's commentary and outro. On our channel, we continue to carefully assemble cozy miniature room boxes, building safe, tiny worlds from cardboard, wood, and glue. Yet the story of Aaron Hernandez and Odin Lloyd reminds us that even multi-million-dollar contracts and roaring stadiums cannot hide the danger that can lurk within an individual. Our mission remains steadfast. We completely de-romanticize crime and show that neither fame, nor wealth, nor athletic glory grants anyone immunity from the law or moral accountability. Aaron Hernandez was no tragic hero. He was a man who repeatedly chose violence when he had every opportunity to walk a different path. Remember, if someone you trust drives you down a dark, unfamiliar road in the middle of the night and refuses to explain why, trust your instincts over their words. This has been the Victim Path Project, where we step into the dark to better appreciate the light. If this episode resonated with you, please support our work and type the word touchdown in the comments so we know you stayed with us to the very end. Take care of yourselves, trust your intuition, and until next time.